What's up? Trevor Rolls here, Theosogetica. I am sitting here going through some of my keyword searches and just kind of trying to get an idea with what's going on right now. And I'm thinking, like, as I look for the things that I'm interested in, the things that I want to talk about, the things that I'm trained to investigate and that type of thing, and I type in my words, like Bible, Theosogetica, theology, the Bible, biblical studies degree, right? That's it. And here's like what's coming up. Like, atheists don't understand the Bible, hidden in plain view, the New World Order in the Bible, things about the vaccine the FDA approved, and how Bible prophecies come in true, and the Bible's packed with evidence for God, and Bible prophecy updates, and just all these things like this. Does the Bible say atheists are fools? And these are the types of things that right now are getting massive amounts of views per hour. This is what people are talking about. This is what's going on. And, it's really, I don't know how to say how I feel about it, but it's like I'm seeing, the biggest trends is basically Afghanistan. Afghanistan's huge right now. Atheism, Bible prophecy, and coronavirus. So the thing that I'm really seeing as I'm looking into this is people want to know, what does the Bible have to do with these things that are going on in the world right now? What does the Bible have to do with Afghanistan, and okay, this is obviously a big one. What does the Bible have to do with atheism and Bible prophecy? How are we supposed to understand that? And how's coronavirus fitting into all of this? And of course, everybody's got a answer, got a take on that, but thing I always wonder is how people establish what's right, how people establish whether their take is even worth taking. And I think somebody that talked about that a lot was this guy here, Abdu Murray, in his book Saving Truth. He said many people aren't wanting people to adhere to what they think because it's the right thing, and trying to demonstrate that and why it's the right thing, but more so they want people to adhere to what they're promoting because that's what they're promoting. Here's my view, and it's the right view. Why is it the right view? Well, because it's my view, of course, and so that type of thing really it irks me, right? Because people aren't putting a lot of thought into demonstrating why, and then critically looking at their own positions and going, yeah, okay, here's kind of a weak spot, and yeah, I could certainly see why that's not. No, it's all or none. This is my way, so it's obviously the right way. So anyways, let's talk about Afghanistan. Let's talk about Afghanistan. There's obviously some things going on right now. If you're anywhere, in the world that has any kind of news outlet or social media, then you know that some stuff's going down in Afghanistan, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that the American troops were recalled out of there, and the sitting government basically said, "Hey, no, we're not take it." At least that's the way I got the story, and they knew. So okay, so the way it was explained to me was all the analysts, right? They said you're gonna lose. It's just a matter of when you're gonna lose, and so everybody agreed that Afghanistan was going to be lost. So they basically just said, okay, let's just save the trouble, and here, you can have it. And okay, so for whatever, and now there's blame, because there's stuff going on, there's bad stuff happening, there's people are dying, there's this thing with the Taliban now getting armed with way more sophisticated equipment than they had prior to, sacking the city, taking the city, and a lot of that has to do with, I think, the hasty way that the American forces were pulled out of there, and then there's of course the issue of people being left behind, and so now we come all back around, and it's like, well, who do we blame? And of course, President Joe Biden is the sit-in commander-in-chief right now, so obviously we want to look to him and say, what's up, bro? You're screwing the pooch here on this one. You totally screwed that up. And of course, people from his camp, his party, and himself are saying, well, no, this is something that the previous president put into play, and we're just, our hands were really tied here. We just did what the last guy had already set in motion. So, don't look at us, look at him, and all this stuff. And I'll tell you one thing, though, as a former construction worker, man who did construction my whole life, when you come onto a job, right, and you're trying to explain to the homeowner what's wrong with their home, you're always talking about them. Oh, I see what they did here. Yeah, they really screwed that up. I don't know why they would have done that. And you pass the buck on to them, and then you tell them, the homeowner, what you're going to do to come in and save the day, or as it were. And I see a lot of that going on now, and that's it's the way the world works, really. There's no accountability. People don't say, yeah, I screwed up. I made the wrong choice here, and some mistakes were made, and of course, in this case, lives were lost. I know we're going to be seeing the repercussions of this for a while. So the point that I'm trying to get at, though, is as a Bible-believing Christian, what does this have to do with me? How should I be responding to this? And, it's really tempting to say things like, the previous president, who was friendlier to the Christian worldview, certainly wouldn't have let things like this happen, all that. And we don't know. I mean, we can imagine based off of how things were handled, but that's tempting to say, but that's not really productive, and that's not really looking forward to anything. So I think that the posture that Bible-believing Christians need to take through all of this is certainly a posture of prayer, and, specific prayer. God answers specific prayers, right? And when we see in the Bible, we don't see prayers of I just pray for all the hurting people of the world right now, and that type of stuff. And hey, if that's your thing, then cool, whatever. But what I'm trying to say is that prayer for the people in Afghanistan. Pray that they will find safety. Pray that there will be help. Pray that the Lord will deliver them. Pray for the leaders who are making these decisions. Pray for our president. You might not have voted for him, but he's in charge. And as a man that's been in charge of some things in my life, that's in charge of some things right now, that's a head of a family, that's a teacher in the community, like, I need prayer. I'm constantly under pressure, and I'm small potatoes, compared to what some of these people have to deal with. So they need prayer. They need your help. They need your prayer. You may not have put them in there. You may not agree with some of the things they're doing, but you certainly don't want to see the ship that you're riding on crash, right? If America was a ship, we're all riding on it, and that's something that went wrong with the previous president. People just wanted him to fail, and it's like, bro, you do realize that you're on this ship he's driving, So in response to that, we need to be a people of prayer. And then there's another thing, certainly there's the religious component to it all. And we've got this situation going on right now where and this is for Christians, there is a counter-religious movement, a hostile religious movement, many would say, and also a religious movement that I would feel comfortable saying, at least to the degree that they're operating, does not represent the majority of the public. If the majority of the Muslim people are anything like the majority of Christian people, then the majority of them are just trying to make it through their days and find some meaning and understanding and peace in this world, right? So really counterproductive to kind of, I don't know, religion bash, I guess is the best way to put it. And I'm not taking a side-seated stance here. I'm just trying to be real. Like, people are suffering right now. People are suffering, and as Christians, our goal is to advance the gospel in the world, the Christian worldview, and a lot of that has to do with ministering to the hurt and to the suffering. And if you want to get real with yourself and you want to get real with your Bible, then you go read through the Gospels and see how Jesus dealt with the sick and the suffering and the oppressed of the world, even the ones that were had wrong ideas about God, wrong ideas about how to live life. He was very, very open with them, kind with them, compassionate with them. He sat with them, he ate with them, he invited them in. Now, he never wavered on his view of what was right or wrong, but it was the holy men, the religious leaders, that were always trying to combat ideologies. It was those people that he often had it out with the harshest. And so I think we need to remember that. Now, am I saying that, we all worship the same God and all religions are the same? So no, that's not what I'm saying at all. But what I'm saying is, from a Christian perspective, the Christian thing to do is to go forward in a position of peacemaking and of ministering and of prayer, right? So anyways, Afghanistan, right? So next thing on my list here, atheism, right? Atheists don't understand the Bible. That's top of my list of my Bible search, right? Atheists don't understand the Bible. And then, of course, further down, the Bible's packed with evidence for God, right? Because that's the big thing that's going on right now. So let's talk about that for a minute, right? Atheism, okay? I'm not here trying to pick fights, and I think a lot of people are. And I think a lot of people are because that's how they get their views. That's how they get their subscriptions, their likes and their shares, because we want to fight. If you're an atheist, you want to fight. If you're a Christian, you want to fight, right? Just, you want to make sure you're on the right side, but you pick a side and then you fight. And now I'm not saying that there's no place for meaningful dialogue, right, as we hash out our issues, but in most cases, one side or the other, you're not even the thought of bending on any issue is not even in either person's side. So you get all these atheist channels, and they're going to tell you every reason why Christianity's wrong, false, bogus, ridiculous. absurd, and then you get all these Christian would-be apologists, and then in some cases legitimate theologians and apologists, and they're going to tell you every reason why atheism is absurd and ridiculous and inconsistent and all that stuff. And I'm not saying that these aren't good conversations to have. They're really good conversations to have. They're really good conversations to watch. But when you participate in these conversations and when you dialogue, oftentimes on either side, nobody's there to learn anything. Nobody's there to gain anything except maybe a notch on their debate belt and a like and a subscribe on their channel. And hey, who doesn't like that? And whatever, and if you like what's going on here on my channel, right, this is a good place to say that. Go ahead and give a like and a subscribe, right, and shout me out in the comments. But the point is, like, we're doing this oftentimes for the wrong reasons, and people on both sides. And I think that the bottom line of it all is most people don't know. Most people don't know. They don't know what they're talking about. They don't know why they believe what they believe. They haven't hashed it out, and they get their information secondhand from secondhand authoritarian sources, right? So what do I mean by that? Well, okay, one of the things, as I am searching around here for the things that I'm looking to make content about, is like, how do I know that the Bible's true, right? How do I know the Bible's true? I'll probably make a video on that eventually. There's plenty of videos out there, and there's going to be on both sides of the angle of the aisle. There's going to be people telling you, here's how I know the Bible's not true, and here's whatever. How do you know anything's true, right? How do I know anything's true that I think I know? And if you're an honest person, then the answer to that question is going to be because somebody told you, right? Let's do this. Let's get rid of Bible. How do I know the Bible is true? How do I know the Bible's true? See if anything comes up here. No results found. Okay. How do I know the Bible's true? How do I know? Okay, well, it's there. I'm not having it come up right now, but how do I know the Bible's true? And so again, people are going to tell you what they have gathered, or what they've been told, right? And again, like I said, how do you know anything's true? How do I know anything's true? How do I know? And of course, in philosophy, we call this this is an epistemological issue. The study of in the branch of philosophy called epistemology, and as simple as that, deals with knowledge. How do I know? So I think that I'm trying to choose my words carefully here. How do I know anything's true? Well, how do I know the Bible's true? Well, if you grew up in the church, then you're told the Bible is the Word of God. You're told that your whole life. You probably don't know what it means. You probably never put much thought into figuring out and how you would even investigate that for yourself. But you're just told, right? So somebody told you. If you're an atheist, you've either come to the conclusion on your own that the Bible's not true, that there's nothing else out there, or you grew up in that type of home, and that's what you were told, and so that's what you subscribe to. And it's not just that, we can look at it in terms of naturalism. If you go to school and you work in the sciences and you adhere to a system that we call methodological naturalism and all this stuff, and they're going to tell you that this is the only way you can know stuff, and that's the system that they adhere to. And on the other hand, if you're into philosophy or something else, you're going to be told, well, we deal in a different kind of knowing, of knowledge, so how do we know? But at the end of the day, most people are still just relying on what somebody else told them, and so when you see people going head to head, right, it's like you get these YouTube apologists and these YouTube atheists and they're butting heads, and this guy's like, he's just saying all the stuff that Richard Dawkins and Sam Harris and all this stuff, and then you got these guys over here and they're just saying all the stuff that William Lane Craig and Gary Habermas and they're just going back and forth with the stuff that they have heard from other people, and that's authoritarian epistemology, right? That means that I got what I know from somebody telling it to me. And the bottom line is, if you really search your life, that's how you know most things. That's how you know most things, is somebody told you. So one last thing, I guess, on atheism. So okay, top video right now. Atheists don't understand the Bible. I've put a lot into understanding the Bible. I've got several videos on the channel up right now. I've got a 4-year undergraduate degree on the topic, and I've just spent years of my life devoting time to working out how to understand the Bible, right? Now, the statement atheists don't understand the Bible itself is like, it's kind of a ridiculous statement, because if you're an atheist, by definition, you don't believe that there's anything beyond the natural, right? I'll put it that way. You're a naturalist in the sense that, not that, like, if you're a girl, like, you don't shave your legs, or I don't know, if you only eat, if you're a man, you live in the woods. Not like that. Like, you think that all there is anything that you can see, touch, taste, observe with your senses. So by very definition, the topics that are being, the premise, the thesis of the whole Bible is hogwash to you. So how can you understand it? There's no way you can understand it. And you're not coming there to learn anything. You're not coming there with an open mind to say, if there's something here that I'm not aware of, then maybe I'll change my perspective. And to be fair, Christians are the same way. When I became a Christian in my 30s, I lived my whole life as a wild man, a total hedonist, and I was in a sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. I was a heavy metal guitarist and skateboarder and just into again, sex, drugs, and rock and roll, man. That's what it was. And anyways, so when I became a Christian, I saw something. Okay, let's put it that way. I found something. I experienced something. And so because of that, I said, all right, whatever comes along with it, this this experience that I had, this deliverance, I'll take, you know. So, and one of those things was 6-day creationism, right? And somebody, my dad actually, one time was, you know, like you don't, you know, like you don't really think that, you know, I forget actually what he said, exactly what he said, but we were talking about like Genesis and you know, Adam and Eve and God taking the rib out of Adam and creating Eve, and he's like, you don't actually like think that. And my answer to him was, well, you know, if that's what comes along with it, then sure, that's what I'm willing to believe. You know, I hadn't put much thought into it, and part of that was, you know, on the first day God created it, and the second day and third day, fourth, fifth, sixth, you know, and in 6 24-hour days, then boom, we're here, right? But I didn't think about it at all. And as I reached a point in my journey where I said, hey, you know, I want to have answers. I want to have thought through where I'm coming from. You know, I don't want to just take anything on somebody else's word. It's never been my style. I've learned everything I've learned in life the hard way. Old Trevor doesn't just do it because he was told to do it and take it on the word of my instructor, right? That's never been my way. So eventually, though, I came across a lot of material, and I became willing to alter, within reason, certain aspects, certain components to my theology, my philosophy of life, my worldview, and my Christian experience. Of course, at the core, the encounter that I had with Christ was ultimately the deal breaker, right? Nothing can take that away from me. So around that, though, I'm open. I'm willing to hear things. I have several books in my, I don't know if I have it right out here in the front. I must have moved it to the back. Well, I have this book called Origins, right? Origins. I don't know if that's mirrored or not. Christian Perspectives on Creation, Evolution, and Intelligent Design. Now, when I went to college and I took my first natural science course, NSCI 110, Origin of the Cosmos. At the very beginning of the course, the question was put out there: what if evolution was completely, irrevocably, indisputably true? And I'm like, okay, so, like, literally, that would change nothing about what I've experienced, right? And at the core of it all, the core center, I'm trying to think of the word, but that prime pillar of my worldview, of my paradigm on reality, would be unaffected by that. And that kind of opened my mind a little bit, because when I first started college, I started as a psychology major, and of course studying a science like that involves a lot of talk about evolution, and I wasn't ready for that because of the way I came up in my Christian background, was that I couldn't even hear the word. It just upset me. It made me mad. And I wanted to fight about it, and I was afraid of it and all that stuff. But from that moment on, after that question, and then the second thing that the professor said, Dr. Weaver, Terry Weaver, great guy. If everything is exactly how you thought it was, then why are you here? Like, when I went to college, I went to a Christian college, Regent University, and I just thought that it was going to be everything that I already thought it was, right? I didn't know anything about any other brands of Christianity or why we believe certain things, and you know, why the church that I did Bible study at downtown was all wore suits and listened to hymns, and why the other church, you know, on the other side of town that I went to, and that I gave my life to Christ in had a nice band and didn't necessarily wear suits and talk differently. You know, I just didn't understand any of those differences, and all I knew was what I was told, right? So my experience in the undergraduate situation on the university level was one where I was forced to, I'm looking around at my books, forced to examine other positions and forced to learn about the history of the Christian faith and how various traditions became valid and accepted, and some unaccepted, and what the certain schisms were about, like all that stuff. Like, I'm just going to go ahead and say the average, you know, everyday lay Christian doesn't know anything about it, and if they do know something about it, it's what they were told by their denomination. So all they really know about it is we're right and they're wrong because we do it this way, and that's why we're right about it, you know, and that's a whole terrible thing. So anyways, getting back onto my point here about being willing to understand things, I told you about my 6-day creationism, but the more I learned about the universe and how, you know, the history of science and the history of our cosmology developed, the more I became willing to say, I don't have to believe in 6-day creationism to still hold my experience with Christ as a core tenet to my worldview, right? And this wanted me to look into other things, which is why I got this Origins book, because there was some people in there that were like me in that course, and they just wanted to slam bam wham on evolution, and the teacher basically was like, that's really not what this course is about. Although some of the professors really, that's all they wanted to talk about, so we'll leave that alone. But anyways, he said, you know, it's best just to leave it out of the conversation for now. And what he was really saying is, you don't even know anything about it, so shut up, you know, just to put it bluntly. But I knew that was true. I knew that I didn't know anything about it. But here's the problem that I encountered. I couldn't find out anything about it. Yeah, I couldn't find out anything about it. If I turned to atheistic literature, all I could get was an assumption that it was true on all levels, and that includes the philosophical axioms at the base of it, which, you know, I could get into that, but let's just say that even if everything they said about evolution, natural selection acting on random mutations over long periods of time, right? Even if everything they said about that observationally was true, they still can't observe that at the base of it there's no supernatural activity. It's just not in the cards, right? So that's an assumption, that's an axiom, that there's no meaning or no purpose or anything behind it, any of it. So anyways, I got that book because I wanted to know. That opened my mind when that professor said that, because he said half of the people on staff here are he didn't say it like that. He said there are a lot of people here, meaning the students and the staff, that are fully Bible-believing evangelical Christians who happen to also believe in evolution. And I asked myself, how can that be? How can that be? Everything I've been told about it isn't true, so how can that be? So I had to learn how that could be. And that's how I ended up with this book, Origins, here. And you know, they are those people. They're basically, let's see, I don't know, you know, theistic evolutionists. I have a book on that, a big one. But so they presented the whole case, and so what I really like what they did though is they went not just here's evolution, we believe it, we also believe in the Bible, but they explained, here's exactly what we believe, here's exactly what we mean by evolution, right? And that's the thing that I had a hard time getting explanations of beyond just assertions, right? I can state something, but that's not an argument or a presentation of that fact. It's just me stating something. And that's authoritarian knowledge, right? All I've done is told you so. I haven't shown you. I haven't proven it to you. I've just told you so. And that's how everybody basically knows everything, right? Maybe that's too absolute. Only Siths deal in absolute, so I better be careful, right? No. But still, really, yes. Most people know most of what they know mostly by being told so. And what the person does is decide who they trust enough to accept what they're saying. All right, so that's it for atheism and Christians. If you go to church, you probably just listen to what the pastor of that church tells you, what the bylaws and constitution of that church says, what your rules are there for engagement, membership rules, right? If you're an atheist, you probably do the same thing. You probably just do what you're told to do. You believe what you're told to believe. And on both sides of the aisle, what we don't have is free thinkers who are looking into these things. You know, there are people like, let me do this again. Let's see what I got going on here. Maybe I should move these ones out front. There are people, you know, like, I'll get two of them. There are people like Thomas Nagel, right? Thomas Nagel's really big right now in the philosopher's world because he is incidentally an atheist who basically acknowledges, like, yeah, there's holes, there's problems, but I'm still sticking to my atheistic guns. And we need more of that from atheists and from Christians. We need Christians to say, yeah, there's some holes in my theology. I don't have it all figured out, but I'm sticking to my guns here. But most of the time that doesn't happen. When they're pressed with a hole in their theology, they just say, yeah, well, you're going to hell anyways, so what difference does it make to me? You know, I'm walking away from this conversation, and I'm going to be with the Lord, and you's going to burn in hell, so whatever. And you know, on the end of the atheist, when their back's against the wall, they just call names. You know, you're just an ignorant, dumb Christian anyways. Knuckle-dragging Neanderthal would believe anything that your stupid ancient book tells you. So there's no dialogue, right? There's no willingness to learn. So at the end of the day, it all boils down to this. People like me are Christians because they saw something. They found something. They experienced something. Nobody told me what to do. Nobody tells me what to do, all right? But when I come across something that I experience, I cannot move around that, right? So, and on the other end of things, and I didn't come from a Christian background. I wouldn't say I came from an atheistic background. Like, my parents weren't militant atheists or anyone in my family, but certainly nobody worshipped God. there were no practicing Christians beyond, nominal Catholicism here and there, or parents went to church when they were kids because their parents made them, but the parents didn't go to, like, that type of thing. Like there was no religion in my upbringing. So I went from nothing to experiencing something, and that's why anything that I encounter, I have to reconcile with my observations, if we're talking in veridical, empirical terms, observations, right? So on the other end, when people who leave Christianity, right, do so because they didn't experience anything. They didn't find anything. They didn't see anything. They didn't hear anything. There was no connection made. And people who remain atheists say the same thing. I'm not seeing anything. You're not giving me any evidence, right? I'm not seeing any proof. And you're telling them things, and you're presenting them with your arguments, and your, this argument and that argument, and they're just not hearing it because it's not something that they really can hear, right? And so that's what this says. Atheists don't understand the Bible. Why don't atheists understand the Bible? Why would they understand the Bible? There's nothing in it for them to understand. It is on a fundamental level, nothing that their worldview agrees with or permits, right? So I have a verse for that. I don't want to sit here and look forever, but so the bottom line is, people who are Christians, I should be careful with what I say, but people who are truly and 100% irrevocably Christian, right, are so because they've experienced something. And people who aren't, we'll call them atheists, but they could be something else, they haven't had that experience. So it doesn't matter how many scriptures you quote at them. It doesn't matter, what kind of philosophical and scientific arguments and proofs that you throw at them. If they haven't experienced the Lord, if they haven't met him, then they're not going to believe in him. Because why would they? You might as William Lane Craig put it this way: you might as well be asking them to believe in leprechauns or Santa Claus or something like that, right? That's what it sounds like. So anyways, that's that, and I can't find the verse that I was looking for, but basically what it says is, I was supposed to mark it out beforehand, but I didn't do that, so forgive me. That the Lord, that Jesus does something, and he says, he's going to glorify God, and the heavens opened up, and a voice spoke and said, "This is my son, I'm pleased in him," and for him to be glorified, and anyway, so and it says some people heard the voice and said that it was thunder, and some people heard the voice and they said that it was an angel, and some people heard the voice and they believed. So the same thing's happening now. I mean, God, okay, so I'll I'll say this from a neutral perspective. If God is real, then he's real whether I believe in him or not, and he's real whether you don't believe in him or not. And if God is real, then he's moving and shaking, baby. Yeah, he's moving and doing stuff. He's working. He's busy. And so if we can't see that, then we're either not seeing it or we're not realizing it's him, right? And this is the same two things that are still happening now when God moves. Three things, actually. One is people look at it and say it's the thunder, right? It's just nature. It's just natural. That's just what it is. Or two, people look at it and they ascribe it to some sort of spiritual thing, but not God. You know, it's my karma, and it's the good fairies and the bad spirits and whatever, you know. But and then there's the few and narrow and people that hear and recognize the voice of God and ascribe to him what is his. So, all right, anyways, I'm going to move on from that. So, Bible prophecy. This is kind of what we were talking about, wanting to talk about the whole time anyways. And the bottom line is people want to know what's going on in the world and how it fits into Bible prophecy. And so one of the things on this video, let's see, the hidden in plain view, the new world order in Bible prophecy. So people see things happening, and the governments of the world coming together in unity for a common goal. And in no uncertain terms, I mean, that's not necessarily bad for humanity ideologically. If we all get on the same page and push towards the same direction, then we might be able to move some mountains, as it were, or build a tower to the heavens, you know, however you want to put it. But when you look at the prophecies in the Bible, and now let me say this: I believe in Bible prophecy. I believe that there are significant fulfilled prophecies in the Bible. I believe that's what authenticates the Bible in many instances. I don't think that every little thing is a prophecy, you know. I haven't investigated every single claim of a prophecy in the Bible, but the bottom line is the Bible made some pretty hefty and accurate predictions coming into the birth of Christ, and so it's made some pretty hefty predictions coming about the return of Christ. And given the track record, I'd say that there's good reason to be wondering what's going on and what's coming. So the one world thing, talking about the book of Revelation specifically, and others, but the whole government comes together and it forms a one world government, and the world thinks that it's a good thing at the time, and some peace does come, but once the power is reined in, like there's always somebody on top of a power situation. There's always somebody on top, and the bottom line is, is that person on top to serve into the people or suck out of the people, right? And most of the time, most of us poor little peasants here of the world know that the people on top are just trying to suck out of us our life, our money, our time, everything about the world we live in is just trying to take. One of the biggest commodities in the world right now, I have an app on my browser to tell me about, is my attention. How much attention can somebody get from me? Because they'll turn around and they'll sell your attention, right? Atheists don't understand the Bible. 649 views per hour, right? Hey, talk about this subject because people are paying attention to it. And we can put advertisements in the beginning of it, and people will buy what? Your attention. So they're either trying to give to us or suck from us. And it was economics. It's like the goal of government is to pluck as many feathers from the goose as you can while getting the least amount of hisses. And once the one world government's established, there will be no worrying about the hisses, because there'll be nobody to stop the plucking, right? Right now we've got things in play that are designed to help the poor and the oppressed from tyranny, right? Tyrannical governments, malevolent power lords in the world, right? Whatever, to stop them from overtaking. But when there's a one world government and there will be one person on top, then there's going to be nothing left to stop it, and it's going to get bad. Now this is what the Bible teaches. So we want to know, well, what's going on in the world right now? Hidden in plain view, new world order in the Bible prophecy, right? So we see things happening and we say, okay, the Bible's talking about. Now here's another one. Only Pfizer approved citizens will be allowed to vote. Ancient Bible prophecies now come to pass, right? Bible prophecy update. I see a lot of stuff. I'm looking. It's not on this one, but there's a lot going around about the shot being the coronavirus being the mark of the beast, right? The Bible's been talking about this the whole time. It's the mark of the beast. And listen, okay? There are a lot of things happening right now that certainly align and vaguely fit some of the prophecies that the Bible speaks of what the future is going to be like. And the way it was put to me by my very first Bible teacher was that, again, so I'll speak in neutral terms, if it's all true, right? If there's a God in charge of it all, if there's demons and devils that are working overtime to usurp that God, then they can probably read the Bible. Yeah, they probably know what it says, right? So they just don't think that, they're going to lose, right? So the way that it was said to me is there are, in every generation, there are moves in order to take the final target, to win the war. So there's going to be things that are very similar, and there has been things all throughout history that have broadly fit descriptions of biblical prophecies. But let me tell you this, if the Bible is at all true, then there's going to be no question. I'm not going to have to wonder, is this it? Is this the Antichrist? Is this the mark of the beast? I'm not going to have to wonder. It's going to be bad. And you're going to know, right? You're not going to have to wonder. That's not the type. Look, read the book of Revelation. Read the Revelation, right? Is there any question about the severity of it all? Let me put it that way, because we can, and I'll do a video on that, how to understand the book of Revelation, and there's a million videos out there already, but it's also a question that people are asking. And the bottom line is, when these things happen for the believer, you're not going to have to wonder, right? No jab, no job. That's what this video says right here. No jab, no job. And so what they're trying to say is, with the coronavirus vaccine and the things that some people are pushing for, they're saying, well, this is the mark of the beast. You take it in the hand, and if you don't have it, then you can't travel, you can't buy, and you can't sell. All that's in the book. Again, maybe it's a step in that direction. I don't quite think it's it yet. And I heard one guy talking about the mask mandates, and he says, all this is in the book of Revelation. I didn't buy it. I didn't see it. But if you want to talk about coronavirus and mask mandates, this right here, The Price of Panic, How the Tyranny of Experts Turned a Pandemic into a Catastrophe. I think this book right here by Douglas Axe, William Briggs, and J.W. Richards hits close to home, right? And they talk about all this really as a social experiment. And I think that aligns perfectly with what I'm talking about, because like I said, at the end of it all, there ain't going to be no question about it, right? We're not going to have to wonder. So the way they presented their argument was, this was a trial run, a social experiment, and they're really pushing in that direction. Now, they weren't writing from a religious, context or anything like that, but just putting it out there, This was to see how much they could take for the sake of taking. Listen, I'm going to tell you something. I worked for a wash and fold guy, and if you don't know what that is, it's a laundromat who offers a service where you just drop your stuff off, they wash it and they fold it, and then you pick it up. It's kind of like dry cleaning. And one day he said, and he was a business guy, he's not the type of guy you would imagine owning a laundromat, but he said, I'm going to raise the price of the wash and fold for 10 cents a pound. And I'm like, oh, is the water bill go up or something? I'm just asking him. He's like, no. He's like, I just want to see if people will continue paying it because they need the service, or if it will affect, if it will make my business go down, right? And the bottom line is 10 cents is such an insignificant thing to pay, and you need it. You need the service. The people who are doing that need that for whatever reason. So cost-benefit analysis, right? He did nothing but win. And there was no reason for it. He just made the change, right? And his agenda was to get more feathers from the goose without any hisses, right? Now there's a lot of hissing going on right now in the world because we're unhappy. People are unhappy. You got people that are wicked unhappy because nobody will wear their damn mask. So they're unhappy. They're unhappy that nobody will put the mask on because they believe, because they've been told, authoritarian knowledge, they've been told that if I don't wear my mask, then they're going to get sick, right? So they're mad that people won't wear their mask. And then you've got people on the other side that are mad because they've been told that all of this is useless and it's really just an exercise in taking control of their lives and stealing their freedoms from them. Now, I'm not sure if I have to tell you which one of those people I am. I sympathize with both sides because that's the type of person I try to be in life, but I certainly align myself more on the side of freedom. And of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger said, "Screw your freedom," however he talks like that. But listen, the bottom line is we as a race, as a species, are a species of freedom. Now, this is totally up for debate because some people will say free will is an illusion and yada, yada, yada. My theology has everything to do with free will. Listen, in the beginning, humans were given the right to do the wrong thing. It's a God-given right to do the wrong thing, right? That's the way it is, and that freedom can't be taken from you. If it could be taken from you, then it wouldn't be a right, right? It wouldn't be your right if rights can't be taken away from you. Now, you can infringe on them, you can hinder them, but that's what makes it wrong. If it wasn't a right, it wouldn't be wrong to take it from you, right? All right, anyways, so that's everything on my list today. What's going on in the world, foreign policy, right? How the world interacts with each other is very important right now. Very, very important right now. Things that showed up on my keyword search, Greg Laurie, right? Greg Laurie is big, I think, because he is one of the best, in my opinion, solid but compassionate, Bible-believing, doesn't compromise on what he thinks is right and wrong, but it's all about making sure that he does what the Lord commanded to do, and that is to love the world. So I'll finish with this. Yes, Bible prophecy is important. If you call yourself a Christian, you believe Jesus is Lord, then you understand that he told you some things to look for about the end, right? About what's going to be going on in the end. But he didn't tell you to look for those things so that you could just obsess over them, right? He didn't say, look for me to come, period, right? He gave Christians a command to go out into the world and to make a difference, to spread the gospel, to make disciples, because the end is coming, right? So if you're sitting here focusing solely on Bible prophecy so that you can fight the vaccine, so that you can fight the Democrats or fight the Republicans or fight the war or whatever the case may be, if you're looking for these things so you can fight, then in my opinion, you've got the wrong answer. You're not right? Because the Lord told us to be ready so that we could be working on the things that he told us to be working on, which was to go forth and make disciples of all the nations, right? Preaching the gospel of love, hope, and peace, and kingdom forgiveness, right? The coming kingdom. And so with that, God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, the Lord Jesus Christ, that whosoever believes in him should not perish, but have eternal life.